30-year-old Yi Hao was only making 5,000 a month. He had just been dumped by his girlfriend, who couldn't stand how broke he was. Right now, he was standing at the bus stop, staring at the numbers his childhood buddy Han Lei had given him. They matched the lottery ticket in his hand perfectly. He thought to himself, man, I hope I actually win that 100 million. If I do, to hell with being a corporate slave. Wouldn't it be great to just head straight back to my hometown and live like a king? At 11 a.m., Chen Guojiang announced the layoffs in the conference room. He raised his voice and declared, our company thrives on a wolf pack culture. Now that we're bringing in the AI tool, Crayfish, we're cutting 5 people from every team. A 25-person department was slashing 20 jobs. The conference room instantly erupted in chaos. Yi Hao, you're the backbone of our department now. From now on, the workload is on you and Crayfish. Keep it up, I've got high hopes for you. Even though Yi Hao didn't get the axe and even got a 500 raise. He was left doing the work of a whole team. He could only swallow his anger and nod. At 5:29 p.m., Yi Hao rushed to the lottery shop. The live draw on the TV had already started. The host announced the red ball number was 05. Yi Hao looked down, and it actually matched his first number. He instantly got goosebumps. Right after, the host read out 12, 18, 23, 27, and 31. Yi Hao checked them off one by one. To his absolute shock, every single red ball matched. His hands started shaking. He froze completely. The final blue ball started tumbling in the machine. Yi Hao's palms were sweating buckets. The host finally called out the blue ball. 08. Yi Hao's mind went completely blank. He checked the numbers, the date, and the ticket type over and over again. He stared at it at least 10 times before he finally dared to believe it. He actually won 100 million. The shop owner deliberately complained about missing the blue ball himself, diverting everyone's attention away. Once the shop was completely empty, he lowered his voice and whispered to Yi Hao, I saw that ticket of yours. There's no mistake, that's a guaranteed 100 million. At that exact moment, Yi Hao finally believed it was real. As dusk settled, Yi Hao walked down the street, feeling like this was the brightest sunset of his entire 30 years of life. On the phone, Zhang Kai-Kai's voice was ice cold. Yi Hao, we're done, let's break up. Yi Hao calmly agreed, then he casually added, oh, by the way, I didn't wrap it up last time. You might want to go get yourself checked. Hearing her shriek on the other end, he just hung up the phone. He felt absolutely fantastic. Back at his cramped rental, Yi Hao carefully hid the winning ticket under his pillow. He thought about how ridiculous housing prices were in Shenzhen. Even with 100 million, he'd just be a regular rich guy here. But back in his hometown of Shaocheng, a huge villa was only 2 or 3 million. So, he muttered to himself, instead of staying in Shenzhen, just to be another basic millionaire, I'd rather go back home and live like an absolute king. Yi Hao looked up the prize claiming process. He realized that after the 20% tax cut on the 100 million, he'd be taking home 80 million. He decided to donate 1 million to a children's charity, leaving him with a cool 79 million. He silently swore to himself, I'm taking this secret to the grave. I'm not telling a single soul. At 9 p.m., just as Yi Hao closed his eyes, his supervisor, Zhang, called to harass him. Hey, Xiao Yi, the boss just threw a last-minute project at us. Get in the group chat right now and check the specs. Work alongside Crayfish, and pull some overtime tonight. Yi Hao listened, tossed his phone right onto the nightstand, rolled over, and laughed. Overtime? Overtime my ass, I'm going to sleep. The next day, Yi Hao dug out a baseball cap, a mask, and sunglasses, getting completely bundled up. He looked in the mirror and said with satisfaction, perfect. Even my own mother wouldn't recognize me. Winning 100 million. He absolutely couldn't let anyone photograph his face. Before heading out, Yi Hao carefully tucked his wallet into his inner jacket pocket, only relaxing when he felt it pressed against his chest. Just then, his phone started ringing. You're so gorgeous, baby. The ringtone blared, and he glanced at the screen. It was a call from Zhang Fugi. Hey, little Yi, what the heck is wrong with you? Didn't I tell you to rush that project yesterday? So what? What, you got a problem with that? If you do, just suck it up. Well, since you're in such a huge rush, why don't you just go do the project yourself? Do you want to lose your job? Whatever, piss off. I know the client is a pain to deal with. But I'm absolutely not doing it. Die mad about it, you bastard. Saying that, he hung up immediately, feeling completely refreshed. The phone started vibrating again. Yi Hao couldn't be bothered to answer. He just opened his AI assistant and set it to auto-reject. The world instantly fell perfectly quiet. He walked out the door, heading straight for the high-speed rail station, muttering, "I'm off to claim my prize." At 9:40 in the morning, Yi Hao stood at the entrance of the provincial lottery center. Taking a deep breath, he walked right into the lobby. He walked up to the front desk and said, "Hi, I'm here to claim my prize. First prize for the double color ball, 20 times multiplier." The receptionist girl froze for a second, then immediately stood up. In less than 30 seconds, a whole group of staff swarmed into the lobby. Some were verifying the ticket, while others were doing the registration. During those few minutes of waiting, Yi Hao's heart was completely in his throat until a staff member smiled and said, "Sir, there are absolutely no issues with your ticket. Congratulations." Then came the whole prize claiming process, filling out forms, signing, and paying taxes. 100 million minus 20%. Yi Hao ended up with 80 million in his hands. Just as he planned last night, he also donated 1 million to the Children's Foundation. During the group photo, everyone had huge, bright smiles on their faces. Except for Yi Hao, who was fully covered with his hat, sunglasses, and mask, not showing a single drop of expression. Once all the procedures were finally done, Yi Hao walked right out of the lottery center. His phone buzzed with a bank text showing his account had received 79 million. He stared blankly at that text for a solid minute, finally believing that all of this was actually real. He thought to himself that it was finally time to go quit his job. "I've been sick of staying at that garbage company for ages. That punk Yi Hao suddenly dropped everything and bailed, making me drag everyone around to scramble all morning." Chen Guojiang had just said a few superficial words to save face, when the new female employee poked her head in from outside the door. There's someone outside. He says he's looking for you guys." "Yi Hao, do you have any idea what kind of mess you've caused?" "Yeah, I know. You just wanted me to work overtime to rush the progress, right? The new girl already told me all about the project materials. You 3 supervisors had to scramble all morning. Wow, must have been so exhausting for you. The company has to pay 5,000 in penalty fees. That money is coming straight out of your salary. Don't even think about getting a paycheck next month. Fine by me, since that's how it is. Then hurry up and process my resignation right now. Looks like you've already found your next gig. That's none of your damn business. Hurry it up, your work performance is absolute garbage. Supervisor Zhang, go sort out his resignation paperwork. Make him sign it. We are not paying his salary this month. And as long as I'm around, don't even think about finding another job in Shencheng's tech circle." Yi Hao let out a yawn and said with contempt, "All right, are you done yapping? A bunch of useless deadweights. So much bullshit. Sign this, and you can get the hell out right now." Yi Hao didn't even bother looking closely. He flipped straight to the last page, signed it, tossed the pen, and said, "Done. See ya." After that, he turned and walked away. Yi Hao stepped out of the Niubi Entertainment Building. Outside, the sunlight was blindingly bright, and the blue sky was crystal clear. He looked back at the gray building where he had slaved away for 6 years and muttered softly, "Damn, quitting feels so freaking good. So long, suckers. Goodbye, Shencheng." Then, he hailed a cab and left. Back at his rented room in Kuizhu Community, Yi Hao first texted his landlord on WeChat, saying his lease was up at the end of the month and he wasn't renewing. Then, he started packing his stuff. Clothes, daily essentials, and his laptop. Everything added up barely filled 2 suitcases. This room had witnessed 5 years of his life as a corporate wage slave, but he felt absolutely no attachment to it. Yi Hao found a second-hand furniture buyer on his phone. 40 minutes later, a middle-aged guy in a blue uniform showed up. He took a look around and offered $2,000. Yi Hao didn't even try to haggle. He just said, "Sure. Deal." His phone quickly dinged. Another $2,000 hit his account. The furniture was loaded onto a pickup truck and hauled away. The room was left with just Yi Hao and his 2 suitcases. He stood in the empty living room, staring at the peeling wallpaper and nail holes, thinking, all right. What's in the past is in the past. Then, he sat down on the floor, noticing it was already 7 p.m. All right, what's past is past. I'm starving. Yi Hao opened up his food delivery app. and went straight for KFC 2 burgers, large fries, a Coke, popcorn chicken, and egg tarts. It came to $60 in total. Before, if a meal cost more than $20, he wouldn't even glance at it. But today, he just felt that having money was freaking awesome. I can order whatever the hell I want. At 8 p.m., Yi Hao bought a high-speed train ticket back to Shaocheng for tomorrow. Departing at 9 a.m., arriving at 3 p.m. staring at the booking confirmation, he remembered how he had come to Shenzhen 6 years ago with just $3,000 in his pocket. Now, he was heading back with 79 million. Then, he dialed his dad's number. Yi Jiangguo asked, "Hey son, are you off work yet?" Yi Hao replied, "Dad, I'm heading back to Shaocheng tomorrow." Hearing that his boy was coming home, Yi Jiangguo's tone instantly changed. "Did you take time off?" Yi Hao said bluntly, "I quit my job. I'm not staying in Shenzhen anymore. I'm moving back to Shaocheng for good." His dad immediately panicked. "What? You're coming back to Shaocheng? Shaocheng is so tiny. Where are you gonna find work?" His dad got more and more frantic as he spoke, even urging him to rush back to the company and beg for his job back. "Go buy 2 good bottles of liquor and a carton of smokes." Yi Hao cut his dad right off. "I won the lottery." Then, he calmly added, "Dad, I won the lottery. I won 5 million. The other end of the phone was so quiet it seemed like the line went dead. A few seconds later, Yi Jiangguo's voice trembled. 5 million? Yeah, 5 million from the lottery. I already claimed the prize today. The money's in my account. After a long silence, his father finally spoke. "All right, you come back home. Come back, and the two of us will have a proper talk." Hanging up the phone, Yi Hao let out a long sigh of relief. He leaned against the wall, reflecting on his decision to only mention 5 million, knowing full well that you should never show off your wealth. Especially in a small county town, where news travels fast. 5 million is still manageable, but if 80 million gets exposed, relatives showing up at the door to beg for money would be the real nightmare. After taking a shower, Yi Hao laid a blanket on the floor and lay down. He scrolled through some short videos for a bit, then checked out the housing prices in villa communities in Shaocheng. His eyelids slowly grew heavy. As he turned off his phone, he thought to himself, "I'm finally going home tomorrow." The next morning at 8:30, Yi Hao packed up all his belongings. 2 suitcases and a backpack. He took one last look at the empty apartment, left his keys on the shoe cabinet, and pulled the door shut behind him. At 9:45, he arrived at the high-speed rail station, went through security, and boarded the train. The train hadn't left yet. Yi Hao sat in carriage 13, in an aisle seat. Looking out the window, it was late April, and Shenzhen was already 28 degrees. The girls walking by on the platform were dressed for the heat. He thought of his ex-girlfriend, Zhang Keisai, but then realized his mindset had completely changed. He shook his head and muttered, "I'm overthinking it. Way overthinking it." Just then, a gentle voice came from beside him. "Excuse me. Could you let me through?" Yi Hao looked up and saw a young woman with her hair pinned up, wearing a light blue floral dress. She looked incredibly fair and gentle, bearing a striking resemblance to Rosamund Kwan. At that exact moment, they both recognized each other. It turned out she was Guan Jilin, his former colleague from Newbie Entertainment. Yi Hao laughed. "Wow, what are the odds? I can't believe I ran into you here." Guan Jilin smiled sweetly. "I know, right? And we're in the same row. I'm sitting right next to you." Yi Hao took her small suitcase, lifted it onto the luggage rack, and said, "Here, let me get that. Come on in, you take the inside seat." As she sat down, Guan Jilin thanked him. "It's been years, but you're still as helpful as ever." "Brother Yi, have you still been working at Newbie Entertainment all these years?" "After you left, I stayed for another 3 years." "Oh, then you must have gotten a promotion, right?" "Yeah, right. It's all nepotism over there. You can't move up without connections." "That's exactly why I left. I couldn't stand that manager who only got the job through connections. Anyway, I just quit too. I resigned the day before yesterday, taking this train back to Shaocheng." "No way, what a coincidence. I'm heading back to Shaocheng too." "Wait, your hometown is Shaocheng? We're from the same place?" "We were colleagues for 3 whole years, and I'm only just now finding out we're from the same hometown? That's crazy. We were always too busy working to even chat. So, what are you heading back for?" Don't even ask. I'm going back for a blind date." Guan Jilin sighed helplessly. My mom keeps nagging me to go back and meet someone. I'm 28 now. Back in Shaocheng, I'm already considered an old maid. Yi Hao asked if she actually wanted to get married. She thought about it for a second and said, marriage. It's not that I don't want to. I just really hate the whole blind date setup. Two total strangers sitting across from each other, sizing up each other's credentials. How is that any different from picking out produce at a market? Guan Jilin looked at him seriously. If I get married, it has to be with someone I truly love. I'm not just going to settle. Yi Hao nodded in agreement. When she asked about his girlfriend, Yi Hao replied calmly, we broke up. We just broke up yesterday. Guan Jilin felt a pang of guilt. She quickly tried to comfort him. It's totally okay. Brother Yi, you're such an amazing guy. You're tall and handsome, so there will definitely be girls who like you. Yi Hao was amused by her words and smiled. Hearing you say that, I guess I'm just one rich away from being tall, rich, and handsome. But Guan Jilin earnestly encouraged him. Hearing you say that, I'm just one rich away from being tall, rich, and handsome. As for money, you'll definitely earn plenty of it if you work hard. Yi Hao just smiled and didn't reply. The high-speed train started moving. The scenery outside the window sped backward. Guan Jilin suddenly fell silent for a few seconds. She turned around and said a bit shyly, Brother Yi, could I ask you for a huge favor? My mom is definitely going to pressure me into going on blind dates. But I really don't want to meet those weird guys. How about, you pretend to be my blind date? What do you think? Yi Hao was instantly taken aback. Are you serious? Don't misunderstand. I don't mean for us to actually go on a blind date. It's just that the moment I get home, my mom will definitely arrange for some blind dates to show up at our door right away. I really don't want to see them. She didn't have many close friends in Shaocheng either, and she just happened to think of Yi Hao. Now that I heard you're also heading back to Shaocheng, you instantly came to mind. Well, since you put it that way, I'd be a terrible friend if I didn't say yes. Guan Jilin's eyes lit up instantly. She spoke with absolute confidence. She planned to introduce Yi Hao as someone working at an internet company in Shenzhen, with a monthly salary of 30,000 yuan and his own house. Yi Hao raised an eyebrow and asked, aren't you afraid your mom will look into it? She answered with a laugh, look into what? Shenzhen is over 1,000 kilometers away from Shaocheng. My mom barely even knows how to use a smartphone. They would pretend to go on dates after meeting at her house, and eventually use the excuse of him returning to work in Shenzhen to wrap it all up. Yi Hao thought the plan was absolutely perfect. He could smell the faint, sweet scent of gardenias on her, along with a natural, fresh aura. Brother Yi, let me treat you to lunch, since you've agreed to do me such a huge favor. The two of them chatted happily as they ate. The atmosphere was much more intimate than when they used to be colleagues. Brother Yi, are you considering finding a local girl after you move back to Shaocheng? What, are you planning to introduce me to your besties? Then, what do you think of me, Brother Yi? Do I meet those requirements you just mentioned? Yi Hao froze in surprise. Guan Jilin quickly explained that she just wanted to check his standards to boost her own confidence. Although Yi Hao felt a little disappointed, he still said earnestly, I think. If I were to consider you as my girlfriend, I don't think I'd hesitate for a second. With you saying that, Brother Yi, my little heart can finally rest easy. After the train arrived at the station, Yi Hao helped Guan Jilin get her luggage down. The two exited the station together. Outside, Yi Jiangguo excitedly waved his hand and shouted, Son. Over here. Guan Jilin took the initiative to bow. Hello, uncle. Yi Jiangguo was stunned. He asked in confusion, wait, I remember your girlfriend. She didn't look like this, did she? Yi Hao hurriedly explained that Guan Jilin was a former colleague, and Guan Jilin also smiled and chimed in. Yi Jiangguo offered to drive her home, but she politely declined. Once they reached the parking lot, Yi Jiangguo recognized the car that came to pick up Guan Jilin. He mentioned that it was driven by an old colleague from his factory. Yi Hao couldn't help but marvel at how small the world was. Tell your dad the absolute truth. Did you really win the lottery? Dad, your son is telling the truth. I really won 5 million. Yi Jiangguo's brow relaxed, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a huge grin. But he insisted on seeing it with his own eyes. Yi Hao just told him they would look at it once they got home. In the car, Yi Hao made a transfer, moving 4 million into another card. The bank quickly called to verify. He confirmed it in a couple of words and hung up. 5 minutes later, a text message confirmed the deposit. To keep his father from worrying, he decided to only let his family see these 4 million. The moment he walked in, Yi Jiangguo eagerly asked to see the balance. Yi Hao opened his phone. The numbers on the screen made him count in absolute excitement. 0, 1, 2, 3. 7 digits. My goodness. 4 million. Yi Hao explained. This is all that's left after taxes. Yi Jiangguo sighed with relief, realizing their hard days were finally over. Now they could finally pay off the debts from his wife's medical treatments. As soon as he stepped inside, his mother, Li Hongmei, threw her arms around him. Son, you're finally home. Mom's going to make you some braised pork belly later. Yi Jiangguo immediately announced. Our boy really won 5 million. Li Hongmei gasped in shock. Oh my god. 4 million. 7 digits. She literally jumped up and down with joy. Her first thought was to get him and Zhang Keisai married right away. But Yi Hao looked a bit awkward and said, we actually broke up yesterday. The moment those words dropped, the lively living room fell dead silent. Sitting on the sofa, Yi Hao explained. A month ago, when his mother was hospitalized, he had to use the 60,000 meant for the bride price for her emergency. Zhang Keisai threw a fit over it and dumped him. Yi Jiangguo slapped his thigh. He said flat out, good riddance to her. Saving a life is way more important than any bride price. Li Hongmei looked completely guilt-ridden. Yi Hao quickly comforted her. Soon after, he revealed that he already had a blind date lined up for tomorrow. It was Guan Jilin, the girl he met on the bullet train. Hearing this, Yi Jiangguo laughed cheerfully. I knew something was up with you today. He then explained to Li Hongmei that Guan Jilin was the daughter of an old buddy from the factory. He couldn't stop praising how pretty the girl was. Hearing her husband call her pretty, Li Hongmei instantly got jealous. Oh, so her mother is pretty too, huh? Yi Jiangguo panicked and frantically denied it. Yi Hao just sat there enjoying the show, completely throwing his dad under the bus. To dodge the incoming crossfire, Yi Jiangguo quickly ducked into the kitchen. If you really like this girl, just be a man and tell her tomorrow on the date. You kids nowadays beat around the bush way too much when it comes to dating. Stop hiding it. If you like her, just go for it. Mom, what era are you even living in? The world has changed. We just met. Even if there's a spark, we still have to take it slow. I can't just rush in headfirst. That'll just scare her away. Li Hongmei finally backed down. Alright, fine. It's your young people's business, you decide. Just as long as you get married soon, I'm happy. But let me ask you something serious. You brought 4 million back this time, and you're not going back to Shenzhen. So, where are you planning to buy a house? Yi Hao rubbed his chin, giving it some serious thought. He knew perfectly well that he actually had 79 million. But afraid of overwhelming his parents, he just said, Mom, coming back this time, I'm planning to settle down in town. For good, and honestly, I'm planning to buy a villa right off the bat. Li Hongmei's face turned pale. Slapping the coffee table, she yelled, What? Buy a villa? My goodness. Son, are you running a fever? You won 5 million, and you've got 4 million left after taxes. You didn't win 50 million? Mom, you really don't need to worry about that. I've got connections handling all of this. When the time comes to buy the house, we can get a discount. It won't cost that much money. Li Hongmei was half skeptical. She leaned in and asked, So, is that friend of yours a guy or a girl? Yi Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Oh, Mom, I already told you, it's just a friend. Why are you even asking this? Even if it is a girl, she's just helping me look at houses. Where is your head at? After Li Hongmei went into the kitchen to cook, Yi Hao sat alone in the living room. Without blinking an eye, he transferred 100,000 to his father. Yi Jiangguo rushed out of the kitchen holding his phone. Son, why did you transfer so much money to me? It says 100,000 right here. Yi Hao put down his phone and said, just rounding it up. Besides, now that I have all this money, it's only right that I treat you a little. Good boy, taking care of your dad. I'm thrilled, but I need to hurry up and pay back the money I borrowed before. Owing people money just doesn't sit right with me. Afterwards, he stepped out to the balcony and called his relatives and friends, one by one, to pay them back. The heavy stone in his heart finally dropped. At 5:30 in the afternoon, the dining table was covered with braised pork, chili stir-fried meat, and all the other dishes Yi Hao loved to eat. Yi Jiangguo picked up his bowl and chopsticks, laughing as he called out, "Let's eat." Yi Hao grabbed a huge chunk of the chili stir-fried meat, praising it non-stop. "This chili pork is amazing." Li Hongmei beamed happily. "Son, as long as you like it, eat up. Let's put back all that weight you lost in Shenzhen." "About buying that villa though, I really think you should think it over some more." "Mom, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm planning to go house hunting tomorrow, and I'll pick up a car while I'm at it." "A car will run you 200,000 or 300,000, right? Money burns fast. You need to plan things out. It's not easy having our son back home. Come on, cheers." The family of three clinked their glasses. The atmosphere around the dinner table felt incredibly warm and grounded. With what you bring to the table now, one's word gets out. Who knows how many girls will be lining up to date you? If that Zhang Keisai doesn't want you, that's her own loss. In the past, he only had his height and good looks. Now, he was loaded too. The next morning, Yi Hao had a fantastic night's sleep. After washing up, he sat down at the table for breakfast. He looked at his parents and said, "Mom, Dad, I'm heading out to look at houses right after I finish eating." Yi Jiangguo warned him seriously, "Looking at villas is fine, but you only have 4 million on you. Don't just blow it all on impulse." Yi Hao laughed and said, "All right, Dad, I know all that. Once I get the villa sorted out, you two can move right in and live it up." "All right." Walking out of the house, he stood downstairs, browsing real estate on his phone. Before long, he spotted a detached villa neighborhood called Joyous Manor. The price there was 10,000 per square meter. The total came out to about 4,800,000. He didn't hesitate. He immediately called a ride share and headed over. On the way, Yi Hao got a WeChat message from Guan Jilin. She said she had already talked her mom into setting up the blind date for 3 in the afternoon. Yi Hao texted back his agreement, but in his mind, he knew that the Lai Guan Jilin spun about a 30,000 monthly salary and owning a house was nothing compared to his actual 79 million in hard cash. That was the kind of wealth a normal person couldn't make in several lifetimes. Yi Hao arrived at the Joyous Manor sales office. He checked out his simple, modest outfit in the reflection of the glass wall, then pushed the door open and walked in. A tall, slender female sales agent immediately walked up to greet him. "Hello, sir. Welcome to Joy Estates. Are you here to look at some houses?" "Yeah, I am. I'd like to check out the villas you have here." The saleswoman guided him warmly. Yi Hao noticed that all the staff here greeted people with a smile. There was none of that snobby, looking down on people attitude you read about in novels. The saleswoman introduced herself as Lu Yaran, and Yi Hao got straight to the point. He wanted a large multi-story home, with a pool and a lawn. He wanted a quiet place. "This villa has a total area of nearly 500 square meters, she explained. "The total price is 4.8 million. We currently have a 10% down payment promotion, so you can move in for just 480,000. Yi Hao asked, "Do you have a more straightforward discount? I don't need a mortgage or financing. If I pay in full, can you just knock off some of the price?" Lu Yaran replied, "A full cash payment only gets a 30,000 discount. There are no other promotional packages with that." Yi Hao decided to go see the actual house first. When Lu Yaran turned around to grab the keys from the front desk, Yi Hao watched her walk away, and suddenly felt that she looked incredibly familiar. Even the name Lu Yaran sounded like he had heard it somewhere before. While she was getting the keys at the front desk, her female coworker, Ling, leaned in and whispered, "Hey, if he can really afford to pay over 4 million for a villa in cash, you should get his WeChat. Hook up with a sugar daddy like that, and you could be a wealthy housewife in no time." "Oh, stop talking nonsense. I'm not that kind of woman." Despite what she said, her cheeks flushed a slight shade of red. Lu Yaran drove her red Audi, taking Yi Hao to see the property. Her movements were swift and sharp. Yi Hao stared at her for a few seconds. And suddenly it clicked. "Wait, did you go to Wenchang Middle School? Were you in class 904 when we graduated?" Lu Yaran looked shocked. "Oh my god, yes. And you are?" Yi Hao smiled and said, "I'm Yi Hao." Lu Yaran immediately gasped and covered her mouth. Oh my god, I remember now. I remember you. You were the most handsome guy in our class. Actually, no. The most handsome guy in the whole school." After they added each other on WeChat, the car fell silent for a moment. Meeting again as old classmates after more than a decade made the atmosphere feel a bit subtle. When they arrived at the villa, Lu Yaran gave Yi Hao a full tour, inside and out. The front lawn, the backyard pool, the 3-story layout, and the basement, he was extremely satisfied with all of it. Yi Hao didn't hesitate. I think it's perfect. I'll take this one. Already? Don't you want to look at any others? No need, just take me back to sign the contract. I'm paying in full. When they got back to the sales center, Lu Yaran quickly got the paperwork ready. After signing, Yi Hao pulled out his phone. 4,770,000 was transferred instantly. Lu Yaran was absolutely stunned. It's been over 10 years. How did he get so unbelievably rich? Her female co-worker leaned in again and whispered, he is the absolute definition of tall, rich, and handsome. You really need to seize this opportunity. Lu Yaran laughed, shooting her co-worker a playful glare. She picked up the organized documents and walked back into the signing room. Looking a little nervous, she said to him, Yi Hao? Here are your documents, please keep them safe. We secured all the major permits for this development a long time ago. So your property deed will be delivered right to your hands within a week. Yi Hao took the folder and nodded. I appreciate your help. He put the documents away. He stood up, ready to leave. Just as he walked to the main entrance of the sales center, Lu Yaran's voice called out from behind. Yi Hao, wait a sec. He stopped and turned around, seeing Lu Yaran jogging to catch up. She stopped in front of him, looking a bit hesitant. I was wondering if I could buy you dinner tonight? Would that be okay? Don't worry, I don't mean anything weird by it. It's just that we're old classmates, after all. Plus, you gave me such a huge boost in sales today, so I really just want to treat you to a meal. Just as a small thank you. What do you say? Yi Hao remembered he had to go over to Guan Jilin's house at 3 o'clock this afternoon to meet her mom. But that was just a quick appearance. He'd definitely be free in the evening. So he nodded, sure thing, see you tonight then, just text me the address. A bright, happy smile instantly bloomed on Lu Yaran's face. Okay, she answered cheerfully, see you tonight. After leaving the sales center, Yi Hao paused at the entrance and opened his banking app. The screen displayed 72,330,012 yuan and 35 cents. He muttered to himself in awe, wow, I still have 70 million left. Adding the 4 million in his other bank account, he still had over 74 million in cash. Yi Hao had already figured it out. When he got home, he'd just tell them the house only cost around 2 million. Even after dropping over 4,760,000 on that luxury villa, the amount of money he had left was still staggering. Just then, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Guan Jilin. Hey, Yi Hao. I just remembered something. I told my mom that you have your own car. Do you actually have a car to drive over here? Yi Hao suddenly remembered he still had to help her deal with her mom this afternoon. In her message, Guan Jilin even offered to help him rent a car. Yi Hao immediately replied, no need. I have a car. I'll just drive it over later. She replied in seconds, oh, awesome. I'm totally counting on you this afternoon. Yi Hao put his phone away and started seriously thinking about buying a car. He scrolled through various car models on his phone. BYD, Tesla, Geely, Xpeng. He checked them all out. Finally, he set his sights on the Xiaomi SU7. He figured the performance and the price point were both really solid. Young people definitely recognized it, so it would still look pretty cool to drive around. Plus, it wasn't too flashy or over the top like a high-end luxury car. Yi Hao called a rideshare and headed straight to the local Xiaomi dealership. Even though Shaocheng was just a small, Tier 5 county town, it still had plenty of full-service car dealerships. Buying a Xiaomi SU7 here would be super easy. Yi Hao walked into the brightly lit showroom and immediately spotted 2 Xiaomi SU7s sitting right in the middle. One was blue, but he walked straight over to the gray one. He did a full lap around the car, really admiring its sleek lines. The design was honestly top-notch. While he was checking it out, a salesman with slicked back hair walked over. Hello there, sir. Are you looking to buy a car today? Yi Hao thought the voice sounded familiar. He turned around to look. To his surprise, it was his old buddy, Yang Qifan. He smiled and called out. Qifan? What are you doing here, man? Yang Qifan looked totally shocked. Whoa, Yi Hao? Is that you? Holy crap, it really is you, Yi Hao. Yeah, I just couldn't make it out in Shenzhen anymore, man. So, I packed up and moved back to Shaocheng. Hey, Shaocheng is pretty great too. A place like Shenzhen is just way too fast-paced anyway. And the pressure is insane. Kifan smiled, changing the subject. Anyway, are you here to buy a car? Or just looking around? Yi Hao replied, I'm actually here to buy. Oh, nice. Then you should check out our SUV models. Wanna step inside? Yi Hao shook his head. Nah, I really don't have any use for an SUV. Because Keisai and I are completely over. Hearing this, young Kifan quickly switched back into professional mode. Pulling open the door of the gray SU7, Yi Hao slid into the driver's seat. As he took in the snug feel of the seat and the grip of the steering wheel, young Kifan leaned against the window and started his pitch. This baby is the SU7 Pro. It gets a solid range of 830 kilometers. 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. Out the door, you're looking at just over 280,000 yuan. But hey, since we're buddies, you can drive her off the lot for 270,000. 270,000? That actually sounds like a sweet deal. I'll take it. Draw up the paperwork for me. Whoa, seriously? That fast? Young Kifan asked Yi Hao if he wanted to check out other colors, or maybe take her for a spin first. Yi Hao stepped out of the car and shot it down right away. Nah, no need. I've got errands to run this afternoon and need a ride anyway. I'll just get a feel for it on the road. The paperwork was wrapped up in no time. Yi Hao paid 278,600 yuan, saving about $1,000 off the original price. The staff scrambled to help him take some photos with his sweet new ride. They took a few shots from the side, and a few of him standing right by the hood, striking that classic pose holding the keys. By 12 noon, Yi Hao pulled his new ride up to the entrance, rolled down the window, and called out to young Kifan. Hop in, let's go. It's already lunchtime. Come on, let's grab a bite together, just the two of us. Alright, but lunch is on me today, Yi Hao said, waving him off immediately. No way, man, but young Kifan was completely stubborn about it. Bro, you just helped me hit my quota for the entire month. I absolutely have to treat you. Yi Hao let out a helpless little laugh, and finally gave in. Alright, fine. If you insist on paying, then it's on you. The two buddies found a nice little restaurant, grabbed a window seat, and ordered a few dishes along with some orange juice. Young Kifan raised his glass first. Come on, cheers to you and your brand new ride. They clinked glasses and took a sip. The vibe between them slowly started to relax. Oh, by the way, Yi Hao, are you still working at Epic Entertainment over in Shenzhen? Did you get a promotion? I bet you're making some serious cash right now, huh? Yeah, right in my dreams. I quit that place a while ago, handed in my resignation the day before yesterday, and packed my bags back home just yesterday. There's literally zero room to grow in that dumpster fire of a company. All the higher-ups getting promotions are just nepotism babies. I bust my ass working day and night, and all the credit gets snatched up by those useless jerks who don't do jack shit. Tell me that doesn't piss you off. In today's world, everything is just about who you know. And look at the top salesman at my dealership, hitting quota just by trading favors and relying on connections. Cheers to that, and to hell with this bullshit life. The two of them slammed back their orange juice in one go. As the dishes were brought out one by one, young Kifan picked up some food with his chopsticks, and asked, So, are you and Keisai really done for good? I'm not kidding, man, we're totally over. Hearing that, young Kifan just shook his head slowly. He muttered that he was pretty much in the same boat. Finally, he flatly spat out a few simple words. What else could we do? We got divorced. Young Kifan took a heavy sip of his orange juice and started pouring his heart out about why they split. She just thought I was too broke, man. Deng Yao runs her own yoga studio, pulling in tens of thousands a month. In a small town like Shaocheng, she's practically hit the ceiling for making money. He let out a bitter, defeated laugh. But seriously, what the hell am I supposed to do? I have no fancy degree, zero background. You think making it big is that easy? Is it because I don't work hard enough? Man, out of everyone at the dealership, I hustle harder than anyone else. Always the first to arrive and the last to leave. I get you, man. Come on, let's drink to that, brother. The two downed their drinks again. Good thing you guys didn't have kids. Otherwise, it's just too tough raising a kid in a single-parent family. You guys were married for 4 years, right? Since we didn't have kids, I won't hide it from you. Honestly, I have a bit of a problem in that department. Yi Hao pressed further. What kind of problem? Young Kifan leaned in closer and whispered, it's just, I can't get it up when I'm with a woman. The chopsticks in Yi Hao's hand almost fell right under the table. He asked in absolute shock. I'm serious, man, you're the only one I've ever told about this. If you breathe a word of this to anyone, our friendship is over. Yi Hao, however, was still completely reeling from the shock. Honestly, I really want to get back together with her. If you ever have the time, and you happen to run into her, could you maybe put in a good word for me? Put in a good word? I don't even have her number. How am I supposed to? Wait, you really don't know? Know what? What about Deng Yao? She actually lives right next door to your parents' place now. Have you seriously never run into her? Yi Hao was completely stunned once again. He quickly explained that he had been working crazy overtime in Shenzhen all these years. So he had absolutely no clue who lived next door. Seeing the sheer disappointment on young Kifan's face, he patted his friend on the shoulder. Hey, since she lives right next door, I'm bound to bump into her eventually. When I do see Deng Yao, I'll definitely put in a good word for you. Seriously, I promise. After finishing their meal, Yi Hao drove his brand new Xiaomi SU7 and dropped young Kifan back off at the dealership. Right before getting out of the car, young Kifan patted him on the shoulder again. Brother, I'm really counting on you for that favor with Deng Yao. Don't worry, man, I've got it. After watching young Kifan walk into the dealership, Yi Hao glanced at the time. It was getting close to 3 in the afternoon. He pulled out his phone and texted Guan Jilin, have you decided on a place yet? I can drive over right now. Just a few minutes later, Guan Jilin texted back, saying she had picked Guanping Tea House, right next to the Shaochai residential complex. Yi Hao drove for about 10 minutes and smoothly parked his car right out front. The moment he stepped out, he saw Guan Jilin waving at him. Sitting right beside her was a middle-aged woman. Yi Hao walked into the tea house, and Guan Jilin smiled warmly as she made the introductions. Yi Hao. We saved a seat for you. Oh, and this is my mom. Nice to meet you, Auntie. I'm Yi Hao. The moment Mother Guan laid eyes on him, her face instantly lit up. Oh my, yesterday, Linlin told me her blind date today was a tall, incredibly handsome young man. Now that I'm seeing you in person, you really are exactly as she described. No wonder she was so dead set on canceling the blind date I had set up for her. Listen, handsome, Auntie here has been around the block, and since today is a blind date, let's just put our cards on the table and be direct. No need to beat around the bush. So, I just wanted to ask, how are things going with your job right now? Guan Jilin quickly shot Yi Hao a pointed look, reminding him not to forget the cover story they agreed on during the train ride. Yi Hao picked up his teacup. Speaking in a natural tone, right now, I'm working at an internet company in Shenzhen. As a manager, my monthly salary is around 30,000, with full benefits, and the year-end bonus is usually around 100,000. Plus, I've already bought an apartment in Shenzhen. It's 100 square meters. And my family helped pay for it in full. Hearing this, Mother Guan's smile grew even wider, and she asked if that gray sports car outside was his. Yi Hao nodded and said yes. Mom, he literally got out of that car when he got here. My Linlin is already 28 this year. It really is time for her to settle down. Since you two used to be colleagues, you know each other inside and out. Lingling told me that you're incredibly hardworking and dedicated at your job, and that you always help her out. A man with a strong work ethic, who knows how to take care of the people around him. You can't go wrong with that. Mom, is there anything else you need to know? Nope, I've heard enough. Alright, the rest of the day is yours. I won't stay here and be the third wheel. Do you want me to drive you back? Oh, no need. I can head back on my own. You two just sit down and have a nice chat. Watching her mother disappear around the street corner, Guan Jilin let out a massive sigh of relief. Yi, thank you so much for helping me out today. Now that my mom actually believes it, I finally won't have to worry about her constantly pushing all sorts of weird blind dates on me anymore. I've worked in Shenzhen for so long, and coming back this time, I realize life in this small town is actually pretty nice. The pace is slow, and there's zero pressure. Yi Hao nodded in agreement, and the two started chatting about the differences between the small town and Shenzhen. If the wages here weren't so terribly low, I'd honestly want to stay, too. I mean, what can you even do with 1800? It's so true. No wonder there are so few young people left here. Anyone with real skills just moves away. Guan Jilin casually glanced out the window, noticing just how brand new that gray car looked. So she asked, Yi, that car outside looks super new. Did you actually buy it? Yeah, I literally just bought it today. Xiaomi, I've heard of that brand. Doesn't that cost over 200,000? Guan Jilin suddenly stopped mid-sentence. It just hit her that Yi Hao had recently quit his job, yet still bought a car worth over 200,000. She mistakenly assumed that, just to help her keep up appearances, he had taken out a loan to buy it. At that thought, an overwhelming wave of guilt washed over her. I am so sorry, Yi. This is all my fault. I never imagined you'd go to such crazy lengths and pay such a huge price just to help me out. But please, don't worry. How much did you take out for the loan? I'll help you pay it all back. Just consider it my way of repaying you. Yi Hao was completely dumbfounded. Ling Ling, what on earth do you mean? I know it's totally my fault. And I never should have put all this pressure on you. But besides paying you back, there's something else I can give you. Actually, I've never done that sort of thing before. So, if you want to, I really wouldn't mind. Yi Hao almost did a spit take with his tea, frantically waving his hands. Whoa, stop. Ling Ling, what the heck are you talking about? What do you mean you're going to help me pay off a loan? I didn't misunderstand you. I know you only did this to help me keep it from my mom. And that's why you took out a loan to buy this car. Yi Hao finally realized just how huge her misunderstanding really was. If I had known you were going to do all this from the very beginning, I definitely wouldn't have asked for your help. Listen, I didn't take out a loan for this car. I paid for it in full. This whole thing has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's really okay, Yi. Even if I gave myself to you, I wouldn't regret it. You're a really good guy, and I'm willing to do it. I seriously bought this car in cash. Hold on, I'm going to get the purchase papers to show you. Please don't just drive away because you feel like you're taking advantage of me. I mean every single word I said. I really am willing to. Ling Ling, please, just stop talking. We're in public right now. The customers at the surrounding tables had all turned to stare at them. Guan Jilin finally realized what she had just blurted out, and her face instantly burned bright red. The people at the nearby tables were still staring at them. An older man holding a teacup flashed them a very knowing smile. She wished she could just bury her entire head inside her own teacup. Meanwhile, right after Guan's mother got back home, she sat right down on the sofa and dialed a number. As soon as the call connected, she asked her niece, "Hey, don't you work at that Newbie Interactive place? I need you to look into someone at your company for me." "Oh, sure, I'll ask around for you when I get the chance. But I've only been working here for a couple of days, so I don't really know that many people yet." Guan's mother told her not to rush. After hanging up, she leaned back on the couch, thinking more and more about how absolutely perfect Yi Hao's background was. Back at the tea house, Yi Hao quickly grabbed the car's paperwork and handed it to Guan Jilin. "Look, I really did pay cash for this car." After checking the total amount and the payment method, Guan Jilin finally believed that she had gotten it completely wrong. "You've been working at Newbie Interactive for 6 years without a single promotion. Logically, there's no way you could have saved up this much cash." Left with no other choice, Yi Hao had to make up an excuse, claiming he had made some money through e-commerce and trading crypto. "Oh, so that's how it is. Wow, Yi, you're actually super impressive. I never expected you to make so much money from e-commerce. You've really opened my eyes. I just got really lucky." Knowing she would probably have to go on a few more dates with Yi Hao. Just to keep her mom off her back, she asked him, "Are you staying here in town, or heading back to Shenzhen?" "I'll probably head back to Shenzhen." Yi Hao secretly wished she would stay, but he couldn't bring himself to say it out loud. "How about I treat you to dinner?" "I can't do today. I have to go home for a welcome back dinner. Let's do next time, it's on me." "No worries, we can just eat some other time." It's a promise, then. Yi Hao offered to drive Guan Jilin home, but she said her house was just nearby and she didn't need a ride. The two of them waved goodbye at the entrance of the tea house. Yi Hao watched her back until she disappeared around the street corner, drank the last drop of his tea, and finally got up to leave. Once Yi Hao got back into his car, he checked the time. It was only 3:45 in the afternoon. It was still way too early for his date with Lu Yeren. He decided to just drive around town for a bit and wait until 5 o'clock to ask her for the exact location. Yi Hao drove slowly down the old streets, looking at the town scenery that felt both familiar and incredibly strange. He couldn't help but sigh that the town hadn't actually changed all that much, but looking at it now, his whole state of mind was completely different. Yi Hao took a detour around the Shaochai neighborhood, and noticed that the community was so much cleaner than it used to be. Right at that moment, his phone rang. It was a WeChat message from Lu Yeren. As Yi Hao finished reading her text, after simply replying, "Okay," Yi Hao then called his dad, Yi Jiangguo, telling him that the villa and the car were all sorted. Yi Jiangguo was absolutely shocked. "You're buying houses and cars like you're just picking up groceries at the market." After asking how much he spent, Yi Hao casually mentioned he still had 2 million left on hand. "Is your dinner date tonight with a guy or a girl?" Yi Hao sighed helplessly. "A girl." Yi Jiangguo instantly got fired up. Dad approves of this marriage. Yi Hao could only hastily hang up the phone. At 5 p.m., Yi Hao arrived at Poly Plaza. The moment he stepped out of his car, he saw a few girls snapping photos of his Xiaomi SU7. Seeing the owner approach, the girls shyly scurried away. "Yi Hao, I'm over here." Yi Hao looked up, only to see that she had changed into a flowing pink dress, her long hair cascading down her shoulders, looking incredibly alluring. "I can't believe someone as rich as you is driving a Xiaomi SU7. Having money has nothing to do with the car you drive. This car has its own charm." Lu Yeren chuckled at his remark. The two walked into Mid-Level's restaurant and took a seat by the window. Yi Hao ordered a black pepper steak, medium well. Lu Yeren also ordered a steak, but asked for medium. Yi Hao glanced around the room, noticing the place hadn't changed much. "This spot is exactly like the old days. The prices here might be a bit beneath you now." Yi Hao shrugged it off, simply giving a calm reply, "I really don't mind." Lu Yeren said, "The most surprising thing today wasn't how fast you bought that villa, but the fact that you actually drive a Xiaomi SU7. Yi Hao explained, "I just don't like to show off." Lu Yeren looked impressed, saying there was a real wisdom in keeping such a low profile. Once the steaks arrived, Yi Hao took a bite, happily sighing that it tasted just like it used to. "Out of all our old middle school classmates, it's probably just you and Shang Pan who are rolling in it now. Shang Pan and I have always been tight." Yi Hao kept using e-commerce and crypto to explain his wealth. While amazed, Lu Yeren also sighed about how it took her 6 hard years just to save up 200,000. She admitted that real estate sales were getting tougher by the day. Yi Hao complimented her, saying she was young and beautiful, but Lu Yeren replied with a serious look, "I'm just terrified that a partner wouldn't be able to give me the life I want. So I've stayed single to stack up my savings, wanting to rely entirely on myself." Yi Hao nodded, totally getting where she was coming from. Lu Yeren confessed that she craved romance too, but dreaded the thought of ending up alone. Suddenly, she looked him dead in the eye and asked, "If it were you, would you consider a woman like me? I want to hear the honest truth." The vibe between them shifted, growing subtly tense. "I admire your independence. And I think you're gorgeous. Are you just being polite? I'm already 29, I'm well past my pretty phase. If it wasn't for your pretty face and killer figure, there's no way you'd survive selling luxury villas for this long." Hearing this, Lu Yeren smiled and nodded softly, like she finally accepted the praise. She then opened up about her college days, having a huge crush on a tall, handsome guy. But feeling too insecure to make a move, she said, "After that, I swore that once I glowed up, I'd never live with regrets again." With that, she waved over a waiter and ordered a bottle of red wine. "Wanna drink a little?" "I don't drink alcohol, but I can grab some juice to keep you company." Lu Yaran couldn't hide a flicker of disappointment, even as she brushed it off, saying it was totally fine. But she was clearly unhappy. For the next hour, Lu Yaran got completely flushed after just 2 glasses of red wine. Slurring her words, she rambled on about her miserable past, saying, "I actually really admire you." Before she could even finish, her body started slipping backward. Yi Hao quickly caught her in his arms. "Yi Ran, you're wasted. Let me take you home." Lu Yaran leaned heavily against him in a drunken haze, mumbling, "Home. Sure, do you even know where I live?" Frustrated, Yi Hao kept asking for her address, but she just kept saying she didn't know. "Just tell me your address." Then she murmured, "Then, where am I supposed to go? I forgot where I live too." Yi Hao begged her to really think about it. Shaking her head, she cried, "I can't remember." Lu Yaran's entire body slumped forward, completely limp against Yi Hao. Her sweet perfume mixed with the smell of alcohol flooded his senses. Yi Hao quickly shook off the distracting thoughts. Holding her up with one arm, he waved at the waiter for the check. The waiter glanced at the two of them, a knowing smirk on his face. Yi Hao quickly scanned the QR code to pay, then hoisted Lu Yaran onto her feet. Seeing this, the young girl at the front desk immediately gave him a suspicious glare. That stare made Yi Hao's skin crawl. He could only speed up, practically dragging Lu Yaran out of the restaurant. Once outside, practically every person on the street was staring at them. A tall guy holding up a wasted woman in a long pink dress. It was way too flashy. Mortified, Yi Hao just wanted to get in his car and get out of there. Finally reaching the car, Yi Hao yanked open the passenger door. He carefully set Lu Yaran inside and buckled her seatbelt. Slumping into the driver's seat, he let out a massive sigh. Phew, that was humiliating. I swear, if we stayed out there any longer, I would have died of embarrassment right on the spot. Yi Ran, where do you live? He called her name twice, but she didn't react at all. Her head lolled to the side, eyes shut tight, she was completely passed out cold. Great, Yi Hao sighed helplessly. This is a disaster. Yi Hao dug out Lu Yaran's phone, but it was locked with a passcode. He checked the time, it was already 7:30 in the evening. Since he had no idea where she lived, his only option was to find a hotel. He'd just have to get a room for her to sleep it off. Yi Hao parked the car and walked into the lobby of the Chang'an Sunshine Hotel alone. The young girl with glasses at the front desk flashed a professional smile. "Good evening, sir. Do you need a room?" Yi Hao handed over his ID. "One king room, please." "Will it just be you staying, sir?" "2 people. The other person is in the car. She's completely wasted. She's my classmate. I don't know where she lives, so I'm just getting a room for her to sleep it off." Still looking a bit suspicious, the receptionist handed over the keycard. "Room 308. 3rd floor, 3rd door on the left." Yi Hao grabbed the card, and bracing himself for the embarrassment, he headed back to the car to carry Lu Yaran inside. Yi Hao practically dragged Lu Yaran into room 308. Just as he was about to lay her down, a sudden click came from behind him. He whipped around to look. Lu Yaran had actually reached out and deadbolted the door. Stunned, Yi Hao blurted out, "Weren't you drunk? How did you?" Before Yi Hao could even finish his sentence, Lu Yaran suddenly reached out both hands, grabbed his face, and kissed him right on the lips. Yi Hao froze completely in his tracks, with only one thought echoing in his mind. This whole thing caught him completely off guard. The next morning at 9 o'clock, Yi Hao woke up groggy and confused, and first glanced at the time on his phone. When he turned his head and saw Lu Yaran lying on the pillow right next to him, a massive wave of regret washed over him. "Oh man, what the hell did I just do?" Yi Hao buried his face in his hands. Memories from last night kept flashing through his mind. After he lifted the blanket to check things out, the color completely drained from his face. He blurted out, "Holy shit. I didn't use protection." Thinking about how he had just won 100 million, and hadn't even gotten to enjoy the good life yet, he felt sick with regret. After Lu Yaran woke up, she wrapped her arms around Yi Hao's arm, and said with a guilty voice, "Yi Hao, I know what I did last night was wrong. But don't worry, I will absolutely take full responsibility for this." Yi Hao grabbed his head in desperation, and hesitantly asked, "Should I go buy you a morning after pill?" "No need, I am a responsible woman." Every time it got to the very end, I made sure to pull out. Yi Hao let out a clear sigh of relief after hearing that. He got ready to get up and head to the bathroom. Yi Hao, I really will take responsibility for you. Lady, I'm a man. Why would I need you to take responsibility? You said I'm an independent woman, so when it comes to things like this, I'm the one who should be responsible for you. Am I wrong? Yi Hao pulled away from Lu Yaren's grasp and walked straight into the bathroom. He splashed cold water on his face and stared at his reflection in the mirror, repeatedly telling himself, look, I was tricked into this. It wasn't strictly voluntary. Yi Hao walked back into the room and sat on the edge of the bed, spacing out. Lu Yaren clutched the blanket to her chest and said full of guilt, Yi Hao, I promise I'll take full responsibility for you. Even if you don't like me, that's okay. You can totally go find another girl. I just hope you can still save a tiny place for me in your heart. Yi Hao looked at her red, teary eyes and could only let out a heavy sigh. After packing up their things, Yi Hao and Lu Yaren headed downstairs together. As they walked past the front desk, the young girl with glasses saw them walking out together and gave them a knowing smirk. Yi Hao felt completely helpless and could only quickly march out of the hotel. Once they got to the parking lot, Yi Hao got into his gray Xiaomi SU7 and asked Lu Yaren, alright, can you finally tell me where you live now? My place is right by the west gate of West Lake Pearl Apartments. Yi Hao started the car and drove her back. When they pulled up to the west gate of the West Lake Pearl Apartments, Lu Yaren softly whispered before getting out, drive safe on your way back. After saying that, she closed the car door and walked into the complex. Yi Hao watched her silhouette disappear into the distance, his feelings completely tangled up in a knot. Yi Hao lit a cigarette, but just as he took a deep drag, a WeChat notification popped up from Lu Yaren. Yi Hao, I really will take responsibility for you. Yi Hao didn't even reply, he just locked his screen, his mind an absolute, unspeakable mess. Trying to distract himself, Yi Hao opened TikTok. He posted a status update. What's it like for a grown man to be told by a woman that she wants to take responsibility for him? What does that even feel like? The comment section quickly filled with ha ha ha, and stop kidding yourself, bro. Whatever. Yi Hao irritably closed his app and crushed out his cigarette. He stepped on the gas and headed home. By the time Yi Hao walked through the door, Li Hongmei had just finished making breakfast, and Yi Jiangguo was sitting at the dining table. Seeing him come in, his dad asked, why the long face, son? You don't look too thrilled. Did your dinner date flop last night? Yi Hao shook his head. No. So it was a success, then. Li Hongmei brought out the porridge to smooth things over. Our boy just got back the day before yesterday. Who could he possibly have hooked up with? Yi Hao felt even more helpless hearing this. Li Hongmei then changed the subject to buying a house and a car. Yi Hao told them he had paid in full, and still had 2 million left on his card. A house and a car, both completely paid off? That's an unbelievable deal. A friend gave me the internal employee discount, he explained. Make sure you treat your friend to a nice meal. Once the villa is fully renovated, we can all move in together. But his parents both waved their hands in refusal. They insisted they were used to living here, and all their old neighbors were around. Besides, when you eventually get a girlfriend and bring her home, it would be super awkward for me and your dad to be living there. Yi Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He could only shake his head with a resigned smile. After finishing breakfast, Yi Hao leaned back on the couch to rest. Just then, there was a sudden knock at the front door. He got up to answer it. He never expected the person standing outside to make him freeze completely in his tracks. As the door swung open, Yi Hao saw a woman wearing tight black yoga pants and a cropped sports bra. She had a gorgeous, curvy figure, and her face held a flush from a fresh workout. Fine beads of sweat still clung to her forehead. Yi Hao's heart skipped a beat. Deng Yao? Seeing that a tall, handsome young man had opened the door, Deng Yao was visibly taken aback, too. Yi Hao leaned against the doorframe and smiled a greeting. Looking a bit embarrassed, Deng Yao said, I actually came to borrow a couple of cucumbers. Staring at her tight yoga outfit, Yi Hao's mind instantly went straight to the gutter. Deng Yao blushed bright red and frantically waved her hands. No, no, no. It's not what you're thinking. I'm making a weight loss salad, and I completely ran out of cucumbers. Just then, Li Hongmei came out of the kitchen, smiling as she handed some freshly washed cucumbers to Deng Yao. Deng Yao thanked her and turned to leave. Yi Hao couldn't help but stare at her back as she walked away. His heart was definitely racing a bit. Haha, you totally had dirty thoughts just now, didn't you, boy? Her name is Deng Yao. She comes over to borrow things all the time. She's a really sweet girl. If you're into her, Mom can go put in a good word for you. Feeling totally embarrassed, Yi Hao begged his mom to stop teasing him about this kind of stuff. After sitting back down on the couch, he had to admit, he definitely felt a physical reaction to Deng Yao. But then he remembered she was his friend Yang Qifan's ex-wife. He immediately warned himself to back off, and then, his mind drifted to Lu Yeren from last night. He slapped his own cheeks, forcing himself to stop letting his thoughts run wild. After they finished lunch, Li Hongmei told Yi Hao to go for a walk outside and take out the trash on his way. Yi Hao grabbed the garbage bags, walked over to the entrance, and pushed the front door open to head out. The moment he stepped outside, he bumped right into Deng Yao, who was coming out of her place next door. He changed into some fitted clothes and grabbed his car keys. They shared an awkward smile, nodded, and headed downstairs, one after the other. The stairs in this old apartment building were really narrow. Yi Hao led the way. Deng Yao followed closely behind, and she couldn't help but check out his back. Thinking to herself, so this is Auntie Li's son. He's so tall and handsome, completely different from a hunchback like Yang Qifan. Deng Yao was a bit too mesmerized, completely ignoring where she was stepping. The very next second, she stepped right onto the broken edge of a concrete stair. She let out a sharp gasp, and pitched straight forward. In that split second, Yi Hao heard her scream. He whipped around, only to see Deng Yao tumbling right at him. His eyes went wide as he yelled out. Holy crap, the trash bag instantly slipped from his hands. Midair, Deng Yao saw Yi Hao reaching out his hands. Terrified, she squeezed her eyes shut and shrieked, no, but the disaster she expected never happened. She slammed right into Yi Hao's face, while Yi Hao firmly grabbed her thighs, catching her completely. In the stairwell, Deng Yao scrambled away in total panic, stumbling backward. She waved her hands frantically, desperately apologizing. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Meanwhile, Yi Hao just stood there, rubbing his nose. Yi Hao secretly thanked his lucky stars. Good thing there was enough cushion just now. Rubbing his nose, he gently reassured Deng Yao. It's fine, I'm totally fine. Deng Yao looked down at her chest. Her clothes were perfectly fine, but thinking about the incredibly awkward moment just now, she was so mortified she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Seeing Yi Hao still rubbing his nose, she asked, feeling terribly guilty, is your nose really okay? If it really hurts, I can take you to the hospital to get it checked out. I'll pay all the medical bills. Yi Hao lowered his hand and smiled at her. Really, it's fine. My nose isn't broken. It's pretty tough, actually. Oh, really? Thank goodness. The awkward tension still lingered in the air. Deng Yao was stuck, too embarrassed to stay, but unable to just walk away. So she scrambled to change the subject. You're Auntie Li's son, right? Yeah, I am, and you must be Deng Yao? Wait, you know me? Yeah, actually, we've met before. That time you were out grabbing food with Yang Qifan. We bumped into each other at the restaurant. Deng Yao thought back to 3 years ago, studying Yi Hao's face closely as she asked. Wow, that was like 3 years ago, right? Yeah, it was right around New Year's. I rarely come back from Shenzhen, but we just happened to run into each other. Deng Yao chuckled, her whole body visibly relaxing. That is such a coincidence. I had no idea we'd already met. I was actually wondering, how did such a handsome guy end up at Auntie Li's place today? Here, this is my business card. My WeChat is on it. If you ever want to know anything about yoga, just hit me up. I actually run a yoga studio at the mall just down the street. Why don't we add each other on WeChat right now? It'll be easier to keep in touch. Sure, let's exchange numbers then. And hey, thank you so much for catching me just now. If I had fallen face first, my face would have been completely ruined. No worries at all, it was no big deal. We're neighbors, after all. By the way, are you interested in yoga at all? Yoga? Well, actually I used to look into it, but work in Shenzhen was just way too crazy. I was constantly working overtime, so I never had the chance to actually go. Hearing Yi Hao say this, Deng Yao's eyes completely lit up. She immediately invited him. Oh, that's perfect. Since you're interested, I can give you a pass to my yoga studio. It's a trial pass, I'm not sure if you'd like to come give it a try? Hearing this, Yi Hao's wheels started turning. He realized this was the perfect chance to get close to Deng Yao and figure out a way to help young Qifan get back together with her. So he nodded and said, sure, why not? I actually just quit my job, so I have plenty of free time every day. Awesome, let's head over right now. I'm actually on my way to work anyway. I can drive you. Deng Yao flashed her Mercedes-Benz keys. Seeing the logo, Yi Hao thought to himself, wow, she really has been making good money. Oh, that's okay, I have my own car. I'll just drive and follow right behind you. Alright then, let's head down. Yi Hao picked up his trash bag from the floor, and the two of them walked downstairs together. Once they reached the front gate of the complex, he tossed his trash away, pulled out his keys, and unlocked a sleek gray Xiaomi SU7 parked by the road. The headlights flashed twice. Deng Yao stopped dead in her tracks, staring in surprise at the Xiaomi SU7, and then turned to Yi Hao. Is this your car? Yi Hao glanced back and gave a casual nod. Yeah, I just bought it yesterday. Deng Yao walked over to the car, circled around it, and gasped in awe, you just bought this? No wonder it looks so spotless. You really don't see cars like this around town very often. I didn't realize you were so successful at such a young age. Oh, it's nothing much, but thanks for the compliment. Yi Hao got into the driver's seat. Deng Yao took one last look before heading back to her own white Mercedes. She thought to herself, for someone around 30 like Yi Hao to afford a Xiaomi SU7, he must be doing really well. Unlike young Qifan, who couldn't even afford a basic car. But she quickly shook off the thought and drove out of the complex. Yi Hao followed steadily right behind her. The two cars soon arrived at In Time City, pulling over right by the mall's main entrance. Yi Hao got out and met up with Deng Yao. She pointed up at the mall and said, let's head in. My yoga studio is just upstairs on the 5th floor. Come on, I'll show you the way. The two of them walked side by side towards the entrance. As they strolled, Yi Hao took a good look around In Time City. He remembered the absolute sea of people when it first opened 6 years ago. But now, after getting used to those massive malls in Shenzhen, looking at this place again, it just felt like a cute little mini version. And it was painfully empty. Walking inside, the main lobby was completely dead. There wasn't a single customer at any of the clothing stores. The staff were all just zoning out or scrolling on their phones. Yi Hao glanced around, sighing to himself that all the young people had really packed up and left town. The people left behind obviously didn't have much spare cash for shopping. By the way, I'm actually really curious. Did you pay in full for that car, or did you finance it? Oh, I paid in full. I really hate being tied down by loans. Just the thought of making monthly payments gives me this constant, invisible pressure. Tell me about it. Haha, it really is exactly like that. Living paycheck to paycheck for a mortgage is rough. But hey, dropping almost 300,000 in cash for a car all at once? That's definitely not something you see every day here in our small town. Most folks wouldn't even dare to finance one. I guess it's nothing special. I honestly think I'm just an average guy. Ha ha ha, now you're just humble bragging. But hey, everyone just has different perspectives, I guess. Yi Hao didn't say anything else. The elevator dinged right as they reached the 5th floor. Once they stepped out, the two of them walked down the hall and stopped in front of a beautifully decorated yoga studio. A golden sign hung by the door, reading, Yao Yao Yoga. Deng Yao pulled out her keys to unlock the door, then stepped aside. Come on in, she smiled. Yi Hao stepped inside and was immediately struck by how bright and airy the space was. Floor-to-ceiling windows lined the walls, and out in the main studio, 7 or 8 female students were getting ready for class. Every single one of them was wearing tight-fitting yoga gear. Yi Hao stood frozen in his tracks for a good 2 seconds. He felt like he couldn't even look fast enough, staring at all these incredibly fit students right in front of him. Yi Hao couldn't help but raise an eyebrow, cheering internally that he had just stumbled into absolute paradise. Right at that moment, Deng Yao walked up beside him. She smiled and asked, "Hey, what are you staring at?" "Oh, I'm just checking out the layout. It looks really curvy. I mean, really clean. And well lit. It feels super relaxing in here." "Oh, please. A big guy like you walking in here is basically like tossing a wolf into a flock of sheep. Just make sure you keep your hands to yourself later, and don't go getting any funny ideas about my girls. Relax, I'm just here to try out some yoga. A good student doesn't get distracted during class." Deng Yao didn't press the issue. She just turned around and started going over the day's routine with the class. She also introduced Yi Hao as a new trial student, to which the girls all chimed in with a cheerful welcome. But their eyes were shamelessly checking him out from head to toe, and a few of them were even giggling behind their hands. "Looks like they've already taken a liking to you. You're definitely a lucky guy today. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Do I really look like that kind of guy to you?" Alright, I'll take your word for it." Deng Yao clapped her hands together. She walked up to the front of the room and began leading the class. Yi Hao was put all the way in the back row, still wearing his regular t-shirt and casual pants. He hadn't bothered to change into actual workout gear. The class started off easy enough, just some basic stretching and breathing exercises. But once they moved on to Downward Dog, Warrior 2, and the Triangle Pose, Deng Yao and the girls flowed through them with perfect, effortless form, while Yi Hao's legs were shaking like leaves. When he tried to touch his toes, his fingers were still miles away, and his side stretches looked more like a stiff wooden plank. Yi Hao couldn't help but curse silently to himself. How the hell were they actually bending like that? As a guy who had been a programmer for 6 straight years, his daily routine basically consisted of either sitting at a desk or lying in bed. His flexibility was virtually at zero. But he gritted his teeth and pushed through the pain anyway. Even though he looked ridiculous and his body was screaming in agony, all he had to do was look up at the rows of gorgeous, perfectly toned figures swaying right in front of him, and breathe in the sweet, subtle perfume lingering in the air, and suddenly, all that burning muscle pain completely vanished from his mind. He stubbornly held out until the very end. "Alright, everyone, that wraps up our session for this afternoon. Great job today, ladies." The students all slowly got up, started packing their things, and trickled out of the studio one by one. Yi Hao just stood frozen in place, painfully aware of every single muscle in his entire body. Complaining that his inner thighs and lower back were incredibly sore, he finally realized. Yoga looks easy, but actually doing it is an absolute killer. After resting for a moment, he walked out of the yoga studio to buy some water. Yi Hao scanned the code at the vending machine, bought a bottle of water, and chugged 2 huge mouthfuls before finally catching his breath. Carrying the water bottle, he walked back. Just as he reached the door, he heard Deng Yao say to a student, "Sister Zhang, Yu Feng, your quarterly passes expire next month. Do you want to renew them? If you renew now, you can still get the original price." "I'll pass, Miss Deng. I think I've practiced enough. My kid has final exams coming up, so I need to go back and keep an eye on them." "I won't renew either. My husband says our household expenses are too high right now, and told me to save some money." "Okay, no problem at all. Whenever you want to come back, just let me know." In the end, only 2 or 3 students renewed their memberships. After everyone left, only Yi Hao and Deng Yao were left in the yoga studio. Deng Yao stood behind the front desk, flipping through the ledger. As she looked down, her expression was clearly anxious. Her brows furrowed tightly, and her lips pressed into a thin line. After flipping through a few pages, she let out a heavy sigh. She closed the ledger, looked up, and saw Yi Hao. She immediately put on a bright smile. "So, how do you feel after finishing this class?" "Pretty good. I didn't expect yoga to be so relaxing for the mind and body. Even though the process was pure torture, I honestly feel so much better now." Of course, yoga is a class that's all about relaxing your mind and body, and finding inner peace and joy. By the way, I want to sign up for a membership. How much is it? If it's for the basic courses, it's $800 for a quarter. I'm not sure if 800 is acceptable for you. What's wrong? Is the price not right? No. I just think it's way too cheap. Over in Shenzhen, a single private lesson easily costs several $100. And you're charging only $800 for a whole quarter? I can't help it, we're in a small county town after all. The average spending power here is just that much. Plus, my private yoga studio doesn't have any brand premium, so it's totally normal to be cheaper. Yi Hao nodded, his eyes falling on the ledger she had just closed. I think the classes you teach are really great. So why aren't those students renewing their memberships? There's nothing I can do. Most people just come here for the novelty. They practice for a month or two and then stop showing up. There are very few who genuinely want to improve. On top of that, I haven't done any marketing or promotion. The people who come here are mostly moms from the nearby neighborhoods, relying purely on word of mouth. With just that small group of people, their willingness to pay naturally isn't very high. Yi Hao quickly realized that Deng Yao's teaching wasn't bad at all. And her prices were cheap. The real problem was that nobody knew about this place. With no traffic, there are no customers and no revenue. He thought to himself, if he helped her with promotion, the business would probably improve significantly. And this might just be a great investment opportunity. Thinking of this, Yi Hao suddenly remembered Guan Jilin. If the yoga studio needed online operations and marketing, Guan Jilin would have the perfect job to do. And she'd also have a valid reason to stay in Shaocheng. So, he put down his water bottle and spoke earnestly, Deng Yao, let me tell you something. Deng Yao asked what this was all about. What if I told you I could help you run some marketing and promotions? Would you be willing to take me up on it? Oh, marketing? I really haven't thought about that before. I think your teaching skills are fantastic, and the environment here is great, too. Your prices are super affordable. There's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be pulling in more people. Your only problem right now is that nobody knows this place exists. If we do a little marketing, business would naturally boom. You're definitely right about that. But, running a marketing campaign costs a ton of money, and even if I spent it, there's no guarantee people will actually show up. What if it completely flops? Right now, I'm pretty happy with the studio's profits. It's enough to live on. But having to throw in extra cash, that would just be too much pressure. Yi Hao could hear it in her voice. Her real concern was the money, and the fear of getting zero return on her investment. You don't need to worry about that, he said. I can front the money for your marketing. You're paying for it? That doesn't feel right. Even though you're young Kifan's friend, we only just met. If I owe you such a massive favor, I'd never be able to pay it back. I know you're not the type to just casually owe people favors. And I'm no saint, either. If I'm putting up the money, I expect a return. So, what are you saying? I'm saying, I want to buy shares in this yoga studio of yours. Buy shares? Yi Hao nodded. Exactly. If you give me a 40% stake in the studio, I'll handle all your marketing. From the funding and the campaigns, right down to the staffing. I'll take care of everything for you. You won't have to lift a finger. No way, a 40% cut is way too much. This is just a small business. I barely make anything in a month as it is. If you take 40%, I'd practically be working for you. No, you're overlooking one crucial fact. What fact? Once I run these marketing campaigns, you're going to get a flood of new people coming to the studio. With more members, you can totally raise your class prices. Your income then will absolutely blow your current earnings out of the water. Just think about it, if your current income multiplies by several times, or even over 10 times. Even after handing over a 40% stake, the money ending up in your own pocket will still be massively more than what you're making right now. Look, I know you're a fiercely independent woman. You definitely won't be satisfied with this kind of small scale, barely scraping by revenue forever. Plus, have you ever thought about this? If you just keep relying on the same neighborhood regulars, sooner or later, another yoga studio is going to open up right next door. They'll run their own promotions, and suck away every last one of your clients. What will you do then? I'm not saying you'll go completely broke, but are you really willing to just sit back and watch others make an absolute killing in this market, while you're stuck playing it safe in your own little bubble? What you're saying is definitely tempting, but I still have one question. Go ahead, can you actually guarantee that the marketing will pull those kinds of numbers? I am putting up every single cent of the marketing budget. If we don't hit our targets, I will voluntarily swallow all the losses myself. But, if the marketing works and your revenue triples from what it is now, then I get to walk away with that 40% stake. How does that sound? Yi Hao would cover the marketing fees, and he would shoulder all the risks, too. If it flopped, she wouldn't lose a dime. And if the revenue more than tripled, even if he gives up 40%, the money he takes home will still be more than what he makes now. Deep in thought, Deng Yao gazed intently at Yi Hao. She finally gave a slow nod and said softly, "Then, I'm in." Her words carried a deeply sincere response. Hearing this, Yi Hao broke into a satisfied smile. "Then I guess we have a deal." Deng Yao reached out her hand, and they shared a firm handshake. "Happy to be working with you," she said with a bright smile. And just like that, in the moment their hands met, their new partnership was officially forged. Yi Hao could feel the gentle warmth and softness of Deng Yao's palm. His heart couldn't help but give a little flutter. After sealing the deal with Deng Yao, he readily paid the 800 yuan for a quarterly membership. He figured he should come by often for yoga classes, both to stay in shape and to pick up some industry knowledge. He thought to himself, if I can't even explain the basics of yoga, how the hell am I supposed to market it? Yi Hao walked out the doors of the Yintai City Mall, pulling out his phone to check the time. It was exactly 3 in the afternoon. Just then, Guan Jilin sent him a message. "Hey, Yi. I just told my mom I'm going out on a date. Are you free right now?" Yi Hao smiled and replied, "I'll tell you all about it when I see you." "Did you just head out? I'll come pick you up." 10 or so minutes later, Yi Hao pulled his car up to the Guanping tea house. From a distance, he could see Guan Jilin already waiting for him. She was wearing a flowing blue pleated skirt, her hair tied up in a cute little bun. She smiled and waved at him. "Hey there, Yi, you looked so handsome driving up just now." The two of them headed to a little corner cafe and grabbed a seat by the window. Guan Jilin expertly recommended a cappuccino and some classic macarons for Yi Hao, while ordering a latte for herself. Once the coffee arrived, Yi Hao set his cup down and said, "Linlin, let me ask you something." "Yeah, Yi? What's on your mind?" Yi Hao then asked about her past work experience. Guan Jilin explained that she'd majored in marketing in college and used to do related work at Newbie Entertainment. But the stress was too much, so she switched to being a receptionist. She sighed heavily. "Management put way too much pressure on us. I was working crazy overtime every single night, and the KPI targets were just impossibly high. If you didn't hit them, they'd dock your pay. It made me so anxious every single day. I couldn't even sleep at night. But, what if I offered you a marketing job right now? Would you be up for it?" Guan Jilin froze for a second. She asked if he was setting her up with a job. Yi Hao nodded, and straight up offered a monthly salary of 5,000 yuan, complete with full benefits. Guan Jilin's eyes went wide. 5,000 a month? Oh my god, Yi. Where on earth did you find such an amazing dream job for me? Yi Hao gave a slight smile and explained that he was the one actually hiring her. He had just partnered up with Deng Yao, the owner of a yoga studio, and desperately needed a marketing whiz. Guan Jilin covered her mouth, gasping. "Wow, oh my god, Yi, are you really that loaded? You're starting your own business?" "It's just a partnership, but the salary is very real. I'll personally handle your payroll and benefits every month. You'll just be officially registered under the yoga studio." Guan Jilin immediately nodded in excitement, accepting the offer. Marketing is marketing. The underlying logic should be pretty much the same. It's really just about finding the target customers, combining both online and offline strategies. I can give it a shot first. It shouldn't be a problem. Yi Hao felt she really understood the assignment, so he decided to take her to meet Deng Yao to discuss the operation plan together. "I haven't really prepared anything today, though. Would it be a bad idea to just go meet the boss like this? We can just go tomorrow." Guan Jilin finally breathed a sigh of relief. She decided to head home first to research the yoga industry. "Thank you, Brother Yi. Not just for treating me to coffee today, but more importantly, for introducing me to such a great job." "I'm glad. See you tomorrow." Guan Jilin waved her hand and skipped happily into her apartment complex. Yi Hao watched her fading silhouette, shaking his head with a little smile. He thought that the way this girl looked when she was happy was actually pretty cute. After dropping off Guan Jilin, Yi Hao sat alone in his car, mapping out his future. He decided to start with Deng Yao's yoga studio and gradually expand his business empire. He thought to himself, I have over 70 million on hand, but just spending without earning won't cut it. A man without a career is just a total loser. Just then, his phone buzzed. Lu Yaran had sent him a message on WeChat. She asked him, are you free right now? I'd love for you to come over to my place. There's something I need to see you about. Yi Hao's heart skipped a beat. But then he figured, it shouldn't be anything too urgent. He replied, alright, wait for me. Then, he opened his GPS, typed in the address for West Lake Pearl Apartments, started up his Xiaomi SU7, and drove off. Yi Hao climbed the stairs to the 4th floor, gripping the handrail to catch his breath before knocking on the door. When the door opened, Lu Yaran was standing there in a stunning red and black velvet robe. Yi Hao couldn't help but stare for a second, then quickly looked away. Lu Yaran smiled and pulled him inside. Come in, come in. Check this out, I prepared this candlelight dinner today, just for the two of us. The table was loaded with beef stewed in red wine, garlic lobster, steamed abalone, and scallion braised sea cucumber. In the center, red candles were softly glowing. Yi Hao asked in surprise if she had cooked it all herself. Lu Yaran smiled proudly and said, I actually trained at a restaurant for 3 months. From now on, whenever you come over, I can cook for you every single day. Since you've been drinking, you shouldn't drive. Just stay and sleep here tonight. Sounds great, let's have some real fun tonight. The two glasses clinked together. With a sharp, clear ring. The next morning at 10 o'clock, sunlight peeked through the curtains into the room. Yi Hao woke up, quietly slipped out of bed, and freshened up. Seeing that Lu Yaran was still fast asleep, he leaned down and gave her a gentle kiss. He whispered, Yaran, I've got something to take care of at noon. So I have to head out now. Lu Yaran groggily mumbled something, and rolled over to go back to sleep. Yi Hao got dressed, quietly slipped out the door, and hurried downstairs with his head down. He remembered that his middle school classmate, Shang Pan, also lived in this complex, and he was terrified of bumping into anyone. Fortunately, the coast was clear. He got into his car, and let out a long sigh of relief. Then, he sent a WeChat message to both Guan Jilin and Deng Yao, setting up a lunch meeting to discuss the promotions. Meanwhile, Guan Jilin was in her living room, carefully applying her lipstick in front of the mirror. Mother Guan walked out of the kitchen, seeing her daughter dressed up in a light yellow short-sleeved shirt and a crisp white skirt. She smiled and asked if she was heading out on another date, urging her, that young man, Yi, is so tall and handsome. He has a fantastic job, and he genuinely cares about you. You'd better hold on tight to him. Don't let some other girl snatch him away. We need to get to know each other better first before jumping to conclusions, she replied. Meanwhile, inside the manager's office at Awesome Entertainment, Zhang Fugi was puffing on a cigarette. He was harshly criticizing the new employee, Guan Tongtong, for being too slow. Tongtong just nodded and took the scolding. Just as she was about to leave, she remembered the favor her aunt had asked of her. So she asked if there was a manager named Yi Hao in the company. Why the hell are you asking about him? He's a relative of mine. Oh, that guy, Yi Hao? He came in to process his resignation a few days ago. And let me tell you, he was never a manager here. He worked here for 6 years, and he was nothing more than a regular front-end developer. What a joke. Did that guy scurry back to his hometown and start bragging to your family? Guys like him, who can't survive in the big city, just run back home. Honestly, you should cut ties with a lying, bragging relative like that as soon as possible. Saves you from dealing with his mess later. Tongtong was shocked. Wait, he's really just a regular programmer? Then why the hell is he acting like some rich guy in front of my cousin? He even claimed he bought a house in Shenzhen with straight cash. That's a massive, ridiculous lie. Just then, her phone rang. The caller ID showed it was her aunt. Hey, sweetie, about that favor I asked you the day before yesterday. Did you manage to ask around? Did you find out anything? Auntie, I actually just asked my boss about him. That Yi Hao you mentioned. He was never a manager at our company at all. He's literally just a regular programmer. And to make it worse, the day before yesterday, on the afternoon of the 21st, he completely quit his job. Tongtong, are you absolutely sure about this? He's really not a manager? Yes, Auntie, I asked my manager directly. Not only is he not a manager, but he packed up and quit a few days ago. He is just a total nobody programmer. Oh, no, no, no. My poor, innocent daughter has been completely played by that dirty scammer. The world is going to hell these days. I knew it. You can never trust a pretty face. They're all dirty liars. Meanwhile, Yi Hao was driving a sleek, gray Xiaomi SU7. Pulling up to the entrance of Guanping Tea House, Guan Jilin, looking gorgeous in a white skirt and a light yellow short-sleeved shirt, with her soft hair cascading over her shoulders, smiled and waved eagerly. Hi. Yi, I'm completely ready for today. Glad to hear it. Hop in. Guan Jilin slid into the passenger seat, greeted by the familiar, sweet scent of gardenias filling the car. As she buckled her seatbelt, she excitedly said, Yi. I did a ton of research at home yesterday. I've been learning quite a bit about the yoga business. I really feel like if we promote it right, that sounds great. Suddenly, the phone in Guan Jilin's bag started ringing. The screen flashed. Mom. The second she answered, her mother's anxious, booming voice blasted through the speaker. Lin, come home right now. That guy you went on a blind date with. He is a total fraud. Mother Guan continued shouting, he's no manager at all. He's just a bottom-rung programmer, and he literally quit his job a few days ago. Guan Jilin froze, completely caught off guard. She frantically tried to explain, Mom, what are you talking about? Everything he told us was the absolute truth. Tong must have made a mistake. Mother Guan immediately cut her off. What do you mean a mistake? That guy used to work at Newbie Interactive, and Tong just started working at that exact same company a few days ago. He specifically went and asked his manager. It is not at all what you told me. Guan Jilin had no choice but to say, Mom, please do not get worked up. Just calm down for a second. I will explain everything when I get home. After Guan Jilin hung up the phone, she declined several more calls from her mom right after, sent a text message, and put her phone on silent. She leaned back against her seat, looking extremely anxious. Yi Hao asked, What is wrong, Lin? You look so stressed out. Are you worried about meeting that female boss later? No, it is not that. It is about what I told my mom earlier. Those things about you. Hearing this, Yi Hao was completely caught off guard. His hands slipped on the steering wheel for a second, and the front of the car swerved sharply. The driver of the black Honda next to them panicked and swerved wildly, rolling down his window to scream, What the hell? Are you blind? How the hell are you driving up there? You wanna die? So what are you going to do? Are we done with these blind dates? No way. If I stop going on blind dates with you, my mom is definitely going to set me up with other guys. And I really do not want to go on blind dates with strangers. Sitting face to face with someone I do not even know. What is the point? It is just way too awkward. Brother Yi, I have an idea. She planned that once she got home, she would tell her mom the truth about his current situation and explain. I will just say that I made it all up just to get her off my back. You are a good guy. Then, we can just keep coming out for these fake blind dates. Well, that is not a bad idea. But I feel like, your mom is not going to be that easy to convince. After all, right now, in her eyes, I am just some total con artist trying to run off with her daughter. Guan Jilin wrung her hands and said anxiously, But there is no other way right now. We just have to try. The car soon arrived downstairs at his apartment building. He parked the car, and gave Deng Yao a call. Hey, Deng Yao, I am here, right downstairs. Awesome, I will be right down. Less than 2 minutes later, the clacking of high heels on the stairs echoed from the stairwell. Hello, handsome. Hello, gorgeous. Is she the one you told me about? The one who is going to handle the marketing for my yoga studio? Should we find a place to sit down and chat? Plus, I know a great spot. Corner Cafe, do you know it? Deng Yao thought for a moment and said, Oh, that place. I have been there before. The vibe and the drinks are actually pretty good. So, Yi Hao led the way in his car, with Deng Yao following closely behind in her white Mercedes. 10 or so minutes later, the three of them arrived at the corner cafe. They found a seat by the window and sat down. Before their coffee even arrived, Guan Jilin went ahead and introduced herself. Hi, my name is Guan Jilin. I worked in marketing at a tech company in Shenzhen for a few years. Deng Yao smiled and replied, Nice to meet you. I am Deng Yao. I run the yoga studio. I have tried things like handing out flyers before. It definitely worked. At the very least, it brought in 20% of my customer base. But honestly, most of our clients still come from word of mouth. Guan Jilin nodded and said, that's totally normal. Because the clients you bring in through marketing will naturally spread the word, which ends up bringing in even more people. The first thing we need to rule out are taxi ads and those elevator screens. Ads like that, sure, they might bring in some decent returns. But the advertising costs are just way too high. When you look at the overall return on investment, it's actually not that great. What I'm best at right now is driving online traffic, using platforms like TikTok and Xiaohongshu. So, can my yoga studio use those kinds of online channels for promotion? Basically, yes, no problem at all. Besides shooting our own videos and making short promotional clips, we also need to find some local micro-influencers with a good following to help spread the word. The results will be much better that way. Yi Hao asked, so, do you actually know any influencers like that? Guan Jilin replied somewhat awkwardly, I just got back to Shao City, so I'm really not that familiar with the scene here. Now, if we were in Shenzhen, I'd definitely know a few people. Alright, so the plan is pretty much set now. In a bit, you and Yao Yao go ahead and get those videos shot. As for finding the local influencers, I'll figure something out. Guan Jilin smiled, then we'll leave that in your hands, Brother Yi. Thanks, boss. Deng Yao also chimed in to thank him. Sorry for the trouble. Once we start making money, you'll definitely get a handsome cut of the profits. Hey, no need to be so polite. We're all in this to make some cash, right? I'm just providing the funds. You guys handle the rest of the actual work. I actually have some business to take care of right now, so you two keep chatting. But it's almost lunchtime. I was just about to offer to treat you guys to a meal. Why are you leaving so soon? No need, Yi Hao replied. I'm meeting a friend for lunch. Let's grab food some other day. You guys go ahead, don't worry about me. Later, Yi Hao had the influencer observe from the sidelines, giving her a quick rundown of the yoga studio and its vibe. The girl watched Deng Yao intently teaching her class, and took in the overall atmosphere of the studio. Finally feeling reassured, she got straight to the point, so, when do we start shooting the videos? You're agreeing that fast? The girl gave a relaxed shrug. She explained that she was there to talk business anyway. Her previous hesitation was just because there are way too many scammers online. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, I feel much better, she said. Yi Hao nodded in understanding. He called Guan Jilin over, suggesting they head to the corner coffee shop to discuss the details, then asked the girl, how did you get here? Upon learning she had taken a cab, Yi Hao decided to drive them over himself. Three of them walked to the parking lot near the entrance of Yin Tai City. Yi Hao pulled out his car keys, pressed the button, and a sleek gray Xiaomi SU7 flashed its lights twice. When the girl saw the car, her expression instantly changed. Her eyes widened in shock. She never expected that in a small town like Shao City, someone like Yi Hao was clearly no ordinary guy. She felt a sudden jolt of surprise. To think that the guy who reached out online to collaborate wasn't just tall and handsome, but also drove a brand new Xiaomi SU7. Her mind wandered for a split second, but she quickly snapped back to reality. She reminded herself to focus on the business first. Making money was the priority. Soon, Yi Hao pulled up and parked right outside the corner cafe. After heading inside, he generously ordered 3 cappuccinos and some pastries. The beautiful girl spoke up first. Hi, I'm Wu Yuxuan. What a pretty name. Guan Jilin then pitched 2 different ideas. Option 1. Yuxuan plays the role of a student trying out a class. Option 2. We shoot a vlog reviewing the studio. Hearing this, Wu Yuxuan smiled and agreed right away. Both sound great to me. I've shot similar stuff before. Since you're the marketing manager, you call the shots. Guan Jilin sighed. That sounds exactly like what my old boss used to say. Doing the work of 3 people, while brainwashing myself into acting like a manager. Yi Hao chimed in, hey, I'm not just feeding you empty promises here. We're just in the startup phase. He explained that once the business takes off, she'd definitely feel the real perks and weight of being a manager. Guan Jilin nodded earnestly, saying she trusted him. Curious, Wu Yuxuan asked, How do you two know each other so well? Yi Hao explained that back in Shenzhen, they used to work together at the same tech company for 3 whole years. It wasn't until we both moved back to Shaocheng that we realized we were from the same hometown. Wu Yuxuan gasped, "Wow, what a coincidence." After finishing their coffee, Yi Hao started the car and drove Guan Jilin and Wu Yuxuan back to Yao Yao Yoga Studio at Yintai Mall. At this point, Deng Yao's afternoon class was only halfway through. Wasting no time, Guan Jilin and Wu Yuxuan immediately got to work. First, Wu Yuxuan changed into her yoga gear and shot the student experience video. Then, she changed back to her regular clothes to film the studio vlog. Yi Hao chipped in now and then to help hold the phone. They hustled non-stop until 6 in the evening. By then, the video shoot was pretty much wrapped up. But after filming, Guan Jilin hit a roadblock. She had absolutely no idea how to edit videos. Wu Yuxuan usually paid someone else to edit hers, too. Yi Hao just waved it off, "Don't worry, I'll figure something out." Just then, Deng Yao finished her class and offered to give the 2 girls a ride home. Meanwhile, Yi Hao drove back by himself. Once he got home, he had dinner with his parents. Afterward, he was lounging alone on the couch, endlessly scrolling through his phone. When a local public account notification popped up, "Job fair tomorrow at People's Square." Yi Hao's eyes lit up. He figured, rather than asking around blindly, why not just go straight to the job fair and hire a video editor? He immediately called the event organizer to ask if there were any booths left, explaining that Yao Yao Yoga Studio was looking for a short video editor. The organizer said there was a spot, but they needed to see a copy of his business license for approval first. Not wasting a second, Yi Hao immediately shot Deng Yao a WeChat message, asking for a photo of the license. Deng Yao quickly snapped a picture of it and sent it over. Yi Hao forwarded it right to the job fair organizer and transferred the 200 yuan booth fee. Once the organizer confirmed the payment, they sent over his booth number. And just like that, everything was set for hiring an editor. The very next morning, at 8:30, Yi Hao arrived at the People's Square job fair. He took a quick look around and noticed that the other booths were mostly offering salaries between 2,500 and 3,000 yuan. With only 1 day off a week and absolutely no benefits, Yi Hao walked over to his empty booth, pulled out a blank sheet of paper and a marker, ready to write down his job offer. Yi Hao boldly wrote down the eye-catching perks: monthly salary, 4,500 yuan. Weekends off, full social insurance and housing fund, no empty promises, and 0 overtime. After finishing, he slapped the paper onto the table, sat back down, and casually scrolled through his phone. "Excuse me, is what's written here actually true?" Of course it's true. 2 people immediately handed over their resumes. Word quickly spread like wildfire. Word spread like wildfire. In less than half an hour, a massive line had formed right in front of Yi Hao's booth. The boss next door, who was trying to hire waiters, just stared at the endless line at Yi Hao's booth, staring in absolute disbelief. Just then, a female boss from a media agency, wearing a bright red suit, suddenly stormed over. She pointed right at Yi Hao and screamed, "Scammer." She yelled that there was absolutely no way anyone in the college town was offering that kind of pay. She accused him of stealing personal info or running some kind of shady scam. Hearing this, that big-bellied boss next door quickly chimed in, loudly accusing Yi Hao of messing up the local job market. The crowd in line started to murmur and doubt him. A few young applicants even thought about backing out. Yi Hao just gave a cold smirk and fired back. "I'm using my own money to hire my own staff, and offering completely legal pay. Just because you guys are too cheap to offer a base pay of 1,800, doesn't mean I can't offer 4,500. You aren't looking for employees, you're looking for absolute slaves." The woman in the red suit refused to back down, aggressively demanding that Yi Hao show them a real contract. Yi Hao completely ignored her. He turned to Li Ming, who was still standing at his desk, and said, "I'm really happy with your qualifications. The job is yours." Li Ming was absolutely thrilled. He promised right then and there that he would work his hardest. Yi Hao pulled out 2 official employment contracts, with the salary and benefits written out crystal clear. Li Ming read them over carefully, then excitedly signed his name and stamped his fingerprint without hesitating. Yi Hao signed it too and stamped the yoga studio's official seal. The whole thing took less than 5 minutes. The woman in the red suit and the other bosses were left completely stunned. the crowd finally realized that Yi Hao was the real deal. Instantly, the crowd was hyped. They started calling out those shady bosses, and some people even pulled out their phones to start recording. The panicked bosses quickly ducked their heads and scurried back to their booths. Meanwhile, Yi Hao packed up his stuff. He ripped down his hiring flyer and got ready to leave. "Alright, positions are filled. Good luck with your job hunt, everyone," he called out. Then, he told Li Ming to bring his gear and start work tomorrow. He confidently walked out of the plaza, hopped into his Xiaomi SU7, and hit the gas, heading straight home. Once he got back, Yi Hao told his parents the good news: he had already hired someone, and they were starting tomorrow. But his dad, Yi Jiangguo, was worried he was burning through cash too fast, warning him that business was risky. His mom, Li Hongmei, also chimed in, telling him to keep at least 1 million as a safety net. Yi Hao nodded seriously, reassuring them, "Don't worry, I won't do a deal if it loses money." Right then, there was a sudden knock at the door. Yi Hao went to open it, and saw his neighbor, Deng Yao. She was standing there in a tight, pink yoga outfit, looking a bit shy. I'm all out of veggies," she said awkwardly. "Can I borrow a couple of eggplants?" Yi Hao just smiled, went into the kitchen, and grabbed them for her. But the floor near the entrance had just been mopped. Suddenly, Deng Yao's foot slipped. She let out a yelp, stumbling forward right into Yi Hao. Instinctively, he reached out and caught her. The tension in the air instantly shot up. It was so awkward. Deng Yao's face burned beet red. She quickly scrambled back, snatched the eggplants, mumbled a hasty thank you, and darted straight back to her apartment. Yi Hao brushed off his shirt, turned around, and shut the door. But the moment he looked up, he saw his mom, Li Hongmei, peeking around the hallway corner with a massive grin on her face. "Ooh, looks like someone's getting lucky with the ladies," she teased. Yi Hao rolled his eyes. "Mom, stop it, she literally just slipped and almost fell." He quickly changed the subject, complaining that he was starving. Li Hongmei just laughed and shook her head, heading back into the kitchen to serve the food. "Yi Hao, you are absolutely incredible. It's only the first day, and the results are already this amazing. I really don't know how I can ever thank you." But Yi Hao just waved his hand, motioning for her to sit down first. "Don't celebrate just yet. I came to see you today, specifically to solve our next problem. With so many people asking about the classes, even if only half of them actually sign up, that's still dozens of new students. Can you handle teaching all of them by yourself?" "No way. If there really are that many people, I'd definitely drop dead from exhaustion in the studio. Plus, our space is pretty limited. We'd have to split them up into several different classes." Yi Hao nodded in agreement. He knew the real, urgent problem was staring them right in the face. "Exactly. So, our most pressing issue right now is expanding. We need to hire new yoga instructors immediately to come cover classes. Oh, I have a really close best friend. We used to study yoga together. Her skills and professionalism are top-notch. She's just as good as I am, but she's been working in another city for a while. She just moved back to town recently to take a break. If I ask her to come help us teach, I'm sure she'd be down." "Well, what are we waiting for? Call her right now. Time is money. The clients aren't going to wait around." Deng Yao picked up her phone and dialed her bestie's number right away. It rang quite a few times before she picked up. Loud music was blasting in the background. Deng Yao quickly explained the situation over the phone and asked if she'd be interested in working together. The girl sounded pretty interested. After the two of them chatted for a few minutes, Yi Hao immediately asked, "Well, how did it go?" She said yes. She mentioned she's actually looking for something to do right now, so teaching classes is totally fine with her. "Oh, that's awesome. When can we meet up to discuss her pay and the schedule?" She said we can meet up and talk this afternoon at 2 o'clock. But the meeting place is a little weird. It's at a party over at the Mingxi mansion. Deng Yao explained that her bestie is super outgoing and loves to party. She's actually hanging out and drinking with a bunch of friends at the party right now. She added, "She told us to just head straight over there to find her at 2 o'clock. "No problem, it's a plan then. Go get ready."